Hello everyone, it is right at time to get started. Welcome to I Can Do What with Google Slides. We're going to have a lot of fun and let's go ahead and get started because I have jam-packed this session and I'm hoping I have time for everything. So, hi everybody. Ceiling fan is distracting. All right, so just some housekeeping things. This session is being live streamed through YouTube using OBS software. This is my second session doing this. The first one went great, so I'm hoping this session will as well. So if anything technical comes up, I've got like the back channel over here, my screen here, I got a screen up there and a screen over there. I'm probably not going to be able to help much. Meredith Hill is joining us. She is our lead media specialist in Pitt County Schools, and she's going to be monitoring the back channel as well as the live chat. So if you've got an issue, let her know. We'll try to do what we can. I promise you, I will share all of the session resources with you at the very end, so you will get everything. Just a reminder, I've put this into the live chat in YouTube, but we have a back channel that is dedicated just for questions. If you'd like to take collaborative notes, there is a Padlet link for that as well that has been added to the live chat in YouTube. Please, we got a little glitchy with the Google Doc back channel earlier today, so please just use that if you have a question. And like I said, Meredith is back there and she'll be working to answer your questions. If she is not able to answer your question, I will go back after the session is over and answer what questions I can. Like I said, I've jam-packed this and I want to get through as much content as I can to give you all the fun little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. But I promise you your questions will get answered. I went the wrong way. There we go. All right, so certificates of participation. At the very end of the session today, I will share a link with you where you can fill out a form and it will trigger an email to be sent to you with the attendance link for you to get a certificate of participation. Please go ahead and do that at the end of the session. The forms will close today, so you'll definitely need to make sure you do that. If you have any questions about that form, if you will email nclearnstogether@gmail.com, they'll be happy to help you with that. I don't have anything to do with those presentations, with those certificates. How much credit will you receive? This is an hour presentation, so that's worth 0.1 CEUs. We are recommending that it count for digital learning competency credit. However, it is up to your district whether or not they will actually award CEUs for webinars. I know our district does not, so that's something that you'll need to check with your LEA to see if that's something that is available. So here, real quick again, is the link to the back channel as well as a collaborative notes Padlet. Again, please just use the back channel for questions and put your notes or anything, ideas that you have that you want to share, put that in the Padlet. All right, so to get started today, I want to play a little game just to lighten the mood a little bit, get our brains ready and working. So we're going to play Me Too. So I'm going to make a statement, and if it applies to you, if you'll just put Me Too in the chat box so we can see how many people that we can relate to. I just saw somebody say no audio. Meredith, can you tell me in the chat if I have audio? And Timothy, I'll share a link to the slides at the very end. So I'm going to keep going. I'm not seeing anybody else having trouble with audio. So let's go ahead and play. So Me Too, if you can say this, my pets are ready for me to go away. I have 2 cats, and Yeah, they're not happy with everybody being home. They want everybody to just go away so that they can nap all day. So if your pets are ready for you to go away, go ahead and send out me too in the chat box. Next question. I finished Netflix. Almost all of it. We've had quite a lot of watch time over the last couple of months. I have finished quite a few shows. So tell me, have you finished Netflix? And if you have finished Netflix or just watched a lot of it, drop us a note in the chat and tell us what your favorite show is that you have been watching over this time. And then the last one, I learned a new skill during quarantine. So if you have learned how to crochet, I love to crochet. Or if you've just done something new that you've never done before, go ahead and tell us in the chat box and tell us what it is that you've learned or what you're currently doing. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. Thank you for playing my game. So this is I Can Do What with Google Slides. And so we're going to get started with first things first. So there are some things that you can do before you ever start putting any content or anything into your slides that will save you time on the back end. One of those things is to change your slide size. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not. Typically when we create a new Google Slides, it comes up and we just start throwing stuff onto the slides just as it is. But you can actually come into the File menu here and scroll down to Page Setup. Your default is set to widescreen, which is 16.9. So this is the best size for viewing on computers, and tablets and things like that, but you can come down and customize your size. So if you wanted to create maybe a magazine layout or something like that, we can actually change our slide size to 8.5 by 11 to make it a full sheet of paper. So that's just something to be aware of. I'm going to leave the page size as it is for right now, but I just wanted to let you know that that is definitely something that you can do depending on the purpose of what you're going to be working on or what you're going to have your students do. The second thing is fonts. I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but Google has a lot more fonts than the 5 or 6 that show up in your fonts list. So to add more fonts to that list, what you're going to do is you're going to click the fonts drop-down menu. And when you click the drop-down menu, my computer's tired, the very first option that you have up top is more fonts. So when you click on more fonts, any fonts that are already added to your list are going to have a blue check mark beside them. Any that have not been added that you want to add, you can just click beside the name of the font, and you can go down the line and add every single one of them if you want to, and they are adding new ones all the time. So when you've added all the ones that you want, you're going to click OK. And so now all of those fonts have been added to your fonts list and they're ready for you to use. The last 5 or 6 that you've used will be left up here at the top. If you are going to use different fonts, multiple fonts within one presentation, it's good to do a contrast. So a tall, skinny one with a short, squatty one would be a great contrast to use. So that's how you can add different fonts. The next thing is text styles. So if you attended my Google Docs ones, we did that with the text style drop-down menu. It's a little bit different for Google Slides. So before I show you what I'm going to show you, you have to solemnly swear that you will not share this with your students. So everybody raise your right hand and say, I solemnly swear I will not share this with students, because what I'm going to show you later on in the presentation, if your kids know about this top secret thing, they can get in and mess all your stuff up. So don't share this with students. I saw Christy asking, can you add fonts from your own computer? No, they have to be within the Google Suite fonts. I'm not 100% what they're called. So back to setting our text styles, not textiles. We're going to go to the View menu, and we're going to enter the Master. Again, we're keeping this top secret. So when you go into the Master slide, or the Master View, you have all of these different layouts here available for you, and then you have this Master slide. The Master slide is where you can go ahead and set all of your fonts that you want to use throughout your presentation. So when I click into the preview here, this is not gonna let me type anything. I'm not changing the text. In the Master View, what I'm changing are my fonts. So I'm gonna go ahead and change my title to this, and why not change it to purple, because purple is the prettiest color in the world. I can also come in here and change the different levels. We'll do basic. The different levels for all of these. I don't know if you go all the way down to the 9th level. I think the most I've ever gone down is to the 3rd level, but you can go ahead and set all of this. Now, you may be wondering, if I set all this, can my students go back in and change it when we're all done? And the answer to that is yes and no. And I'll explain that in a minute. So once you've set all of this, you can click the X to go back into what's called Film Strip View, which is the view that we're most used to. And so if you notice, all of my slides the text has changed styles because I set all of that in my slide master. So yes, my students can now come in here, and because this is a text box that's on the film strip view, they could highlight this and change the text. Okay, I'm going to show you how we lock all that down in just a second. The next thing that I want to share with you is and this says font styles. This should say bullet styles. I need to fix that. But we're going to go back into Master. And what I can do is I can actually click. Again, my computer is very tired. If I click on the bullet itself, I can actually change what my bullets look like. So I can come up here to Format, Bullets and Numbering, and go to my list options, and if you see right down here, so much fun, I have more bullets. So what this is going to pull up are all of the special characters. Now these are a step up from the little dot, but I like color and I like fun stuff. So I'm actually going to change from symbol to emoji, and look at all the fun things I can change my bullets to. I can make them emojis, and so when I click on that, it should have, let me click out of here, it changed my emoji there. I can come in and do the same thing with each one of these bullet points and just go into Format, Bullets and Numbering, List Option, More Bullets, and I can change what my bullets look like by just a quick click. How much fun is that? So that is kind of setting your styles and everything for the Master. Now, something else that I want to share with you about the Master is that when we're back in Film Strip View, if I use the drop-down menu here beside the Add Slide button, I have 11 different layouts. This can be confusing for your students sometimes, like, oh, what layout am I supposed to use? So I can actually go remove all of the ones that I don't want my students to have access to. Again, that's done in Master. All of the slides that I have created are for the presentation are using this, the third layout down. And you could see that it was already highlighted in yellow. Google Slides will not allow me to delete a layout that is already being used. Okay, so I can come in here and delete all of the extra ones. If I want to do them a bunch at a time, I click the first one, and then holding down my shift key, click the last one, it'll highlight all of them, and click delete, and bam, they're gone. So when I leave Master View and come back here to my drop down menu, I'm left with the only one that I want. Okay, so that's using Master to kind of set things up. But there's more that we can do with the Master. So I have a couple examples of some learning, let me go back one slide, some learning activities that I've created using the Slide Master. These are all sample activities for you. Again, you will get the presentation link at the end. So when you have this link, feel free to make a copy of any of these, edit, share, use, however you need. One of the examples I want to show you is reindeer facts. I did this activity with a second grade class. All of the students were in this one presentation, and each student got their own slide, and I put their names down here in the speaker notes real big and in red so they could easily find their slide. And so here on the slide, I've got some text. Well, I'm clicking all over here, and I'm not able to select or delete anything. So what I'm going to show you with Master is that you can actually create text and images set on your slide that the kids can't delete. So when I talked about can the students change your font styles once you've set them, if you create your slides in Master View, the answer to that is no. They can still come in here. What I did is I added text boxes for the students. So when you're adding your text boxes, don't worry about setting the fonts for that because they can change that. I also want to draw your attention to the fact that in Google Slides, you have all of this space on the left and the right of the actual slide that is available to you to use. Now, if we were to go into presentation mode, you wouldn't see any of this stuff hanging out here on the side, but we're in work mode, so we can use it. So what I had the students do was to drag their favorite picture of the reindeer over into the box. They were then to tell me why that was their favorite picture, so I provided a place for them to type. And same thing here, which picture shows where the reindeer live? Well, they live where it's cold and snowy. And so this was just an activity that the students did. Again, I did this with second grade. We were all in the same file. And guess what? The world did not come to an end. Did some students end up with wonky pictures that looked, way crazy like this? Absolutely. Did it matter? No. Did I fuss or stress? No. What I taught them was Control Z. Control Z undoes anything that you do. So don't let the kids see you freak out, and the kids won't freak out. Control Z is your best friend. When you're working with younger students, something that did happen often is they would click in here to type and then they would misspell something. And somehow, because we were using Chromebooks and they were using the trackpads, somehow before they went to backspace, they actually ended up selecting the text box itself, so they lost that blinking cursor, and that's what I tell my kids to look for. Look for the blinking cursor. If you don't see the blinking cursor, then don't hit the backspace button. But what they would do is they would end up selecting the text box, hit backspace to fix their spelling, and oh my gosh, where did the text box go? Again, I taught them Control Z will bring that text box back. Don't freak out, it's okay. And you can click Control Z as many times as you need to get it back. All right, so how do we make that happen? So to create learning learning activities with Google Slides Master, again, you have to go into the master. I'm actually going to add a new slide because if I edit this layout that's already in here, then all of my slides that I've already added to the presentation are going to be completely messed up. So I'm going to add a new slide. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rename this, which is a really good habit to get into. And I'll name it Student Slide or Students Add Me or something like that. Something else that I like to do is I like to make sure that the background color for a student slide versus a teacher slide are different. So typically my background colors for student slides are something like yellow, where my slides get to be purple because, again, I love purple. And typically what I'll do is I will go ahead and just delete everything that is on the slide to get rid of it so that I'm starting from scratch. I will tell you, it is very, very hard to convert something that you've already created into a Google Slides Master. So my suggestion would be to create a completely new slides deck and then just copy and paste between one and the other into Slides Master. It just, things get really wonky when you're trying to convert. So what you need to know about a Slide Master is that any images that you add is going to be like a stamp. It's a picture that has been stamped onto the page and the students are not going to be able to move it. Okay, any images, shapes, anything like that. So let me just real quick. Oh look, polar bears, my favorite. Imagine that. So when I drag this onto the page, I can resize this, and when I get out of Slides Master, again, this is going to be like a stamp on the page. The next thing that you need to know are the text boxes. Notice that once you're in Slide Master view, you have a drop-down menu. Okay, so this is not in regular view, this is only in Master view. When you click the drop-down menu, you have the option to add text boxes or placeholders. Okay, text boxes are like stamps on the page as well. Once you are out of Master view, the students can't change the text boxes. Okay, so this is where you get to play with your fonts and your colors and all that kind of stuff, and the kids can't mess it up. Placeholders is where you are providing a place for the students to contribute to the slide. So maybe I want to ask a question. So are polar bears, let's spell it right, polar bears right or left-handed? And they are actually dominant with one, and maybe pawed, handed, I don't know. All right, so I want to provide a place for my students to answer this question. So I'll need to come back to my text box drop down. This time I'm going to add a placeholder. It doesn't matter which one you do, because again, the kids can play with the fonts and the sizes. So I typically just add a body text holder, create my text box. Now when I create the text box, it's going to give me all of those format options. So a good rule of thumb is that go ahead and build your questions, put your questions on the page, and then when you add your text boxes or the placeholders for the students to type in, build those from the bottom up so that you're not trying to fight all those different levels, because you can't get rid of this. You're not deleting that. That's there as an idea of your different levels. So when I exit out of Slide Master view, I now have, if I come over here and do my drop-down menu, I now have 2 slides. So as I can add the student slide, I can't do anything to the polar bear picture. I can't do anything to this text right here. But as a student, I can come in here and tell my teacher that I know that polar bears are left-handed. Learn something new every day, right? So that's the basics of using Slide Master. So just a couple more ways that I've used this with students. This is a 4th grade activity that I did. So again, I've got my directions slide here. What I had students do on this slide is they watched a video. These circles were actually hanging out on the right side of the page, and they used these to answer the question. So they were just dragging the circles over the answers. That was my way of kind of getting away with doing multiple guess questions. And then down here, they answered the question. So that's a lot of the ways that I use it. Then down here for another activity type, this is a drag and drop activity. So basically I have roles for the government, and the students literally just drag, I have no idea where this goes, cabinet members, I'm hoping executive branch. They drag them into the correct container on the slide that they go to. Again, did I have some students click and make these completely wonky? Absolutely. Did I mention it or go crazy about it? No. Just let it roll. Here's another drag and drop activity. A vocabulary drag and drop. So I have the different vocabulary definitions over here, and then the students just drag the vocabulary word onto the correct definition. And so as a teacher, I can just quickly glance at this screen and see if the students knew their words or not. So those are just some activity ideas that I have done with Slides Master. Again, real quick, because I'm seeing, oh, I need to see that again. In Master, what you need to know is that any pictures, images, anything like that, and anything that you add as a text box are going to be like a stamp on the page that the students cannot change once you get out of Slide Master view. Placeholders are where you're going to want your students to actually contribute to the slide. So again, Slide Master is top secret. Don't let your students know about it, because if they know about it, then they can get in and they can mess with your template, and then it's just a big old mess after that. I did see somebody ask in the chat, how do you get the things to drag and drop? We're going to get out of Slide Master view. So right now, I'm just in regular Google Slides view. This is actually called the film strip view, because you have a preview over here on the left, and then you have the space in the middle that's your slide. I'm going to zoom out to 50% so that you can see that even though this is my slide right here, so when I go into present mode, this is all I'm going to see, but you have all of this extra workspace that you can do something with. And so literally all the students are doing, and I teach them, look for the crosshairs, don't click and move it until you see the crosshairs. When you see the crosshairs though, you can click and literally just drag that image anywhere onto the slide that you want it to go. So that's how you do a drag and drop activity. All right, moving right along. Copying and pasting slides from other decks. So I can, a lot of times I'm doing different lessons for multiple classrooms, and I know the students in there, and I know that one class is really going to enjoy this activity and another class is going to enjoy, something similar, so that I don't have to start all the way from scratch. What I can do is just copy and paste from one to another and make small little tweaks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to that 3 branches of government slide deck. And let's say that I want to use slide number 3 in my next activity. So what I'm going to do in the film strip, so over here, on the left-hand side of the screen, I'm going to click on the slide that I want to copy and paste over. It highlights with a little orange box around it and it's yellow. And I'm going to use my shortcut key for copy, which is Command C. I can also right-click and copy, but if you learn these shortcut keys, friends, your life will be so much easier and things will speed up. So once I've copied that slide, I'm going to come back to my destination slide deck, and wherever I want the slide to be inserted, I'm going to click right above that. So I want that slide that I just copied to fall right underneath this slide right here. So again, I can right click and paste, or I can use my shortcut key Control V. And when I do that, it takes just a second for it to process. I don't know why it added that slide. Well, let's try that again. All right, copy. Let's delete that one and paste. This is really strange. I want to keep the original styles. Technology is a wonderful thing when it works like you think it's going to. Ha! Here we go. All right, so obviously you want it to keep the original, but what happens is you get this little option up here for link. If I were to make any changes to this slide in my other presentation, those changes would automatically happen in this presentation. So, think about that when you are copying, pasting over. If you don't want to have to make changes in both, then you would want to link those slides. If you don't want one change to affect the other, then you wouldn't link them. And I say that, but it's only a one-way street. So this slide in my secondary presentation is linked to this slide in this presentation, not vice versa. So when I make a change here, it's going to show up here. But if I were to make a change to this slide, it's not going to change the slide in the other presentation. I hope that makes sense. So copying and pasting slides from other decks, that is completely possible. I just showed you how to do drag and drop activities, so we're going to keep moving along. So another way that you can utilize some features in Google Slides is to create choose your own adventure activities. This uses linking, and you can choose to create multiple slide decks and link between decks. I think that would get very, very overwhelming and hard to manage. So I would just link to slides within this one presentation. So the way a choose your own adventure would go is the students would start reading the story, and they would get to a certain point and they would be provided 2 different options. Path 1, here's the information. Path 2, here's the information. You choose. So what I've done is at the very end of the presentation, here's my information for path 1. Here's my information for path 2. So what I can do is I can actually link path 1. Oh, I got the crosshairs. It's going to move. Link path 1 by using my hyperlink tool or Control K to link. And the very first option here right under the URL bar is slides in this presentation. So I can actually use my drop down menu and see all the slides that are in the presentation. So I'm going to keep scrolling. There's path number 1 and then I'm going to apply it. And here's path number 2. I'm going to do the same thing. Control K. Use my drop down. That's actually the last slide in the presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and click last slide and apply. So now when I go and when I would share my stories with my students, I would share it in present mode. And to do that, you would just highlight the URL bar, or excuse me, the URL at the top. Use your right arrow key to go all the way to the end, and then change everything behind that last slash to present instead of edit. And so when the students click that link, it's automatically going to bring up the slide deck in presentation mode where they can't like edit and go all over everywhere. What that also does is it allows one-click links. So right now, to get to the link, I would have to click twice. I click on the text, and then I would have to click the link here before it would take me to the path. Little word to the wise, always add a link at the bottom of your paths to get back to the original choice in case they read it and like, no, I'm going to go back and try the next path. So that is how you can link within Google Slides. All right, I'm going to nerd out. I know I'm a geek. I get it. It's okay. So you can actually use Google Slides to make stop animation videos. So think cartoons, think animated posters where the letters are going to different colors, videos where the students are showing a process in science or how to solve a math problem. So the way that this works is you are going to duplicate your slides and move what's on the slide just a little bit each time. So I just really quickly put in a Pac-Man and some little dots. I did want to show you the way that I duplicated these really quickly is just click on them, and then duplicate is Control D instead of Control C, Control V. It does it all in one step. Notice my guidelines here allow me to line them up. The red line is the center line, and then those blue lines are spacers. So I can make sure that all of these get spaced exactly the same, and I can make sure that they are all perfectly lined up. All of my type A anal retentive people say amen. I'm there with you. All right, so then what you would do is you would come over here to your film strip. We're going to Control D again, and what this is going to do is it's going to duplicate my slide. And then I'm just going to click on my Pac-Man, use my arrow keys to move them just a little bit, come back to my film strip, and duplicate again, move them a little bit more, and I'm going to continue that process until what I end up with is something like this, where we started out with all of our dots, and you can see he's getting further and further down. It took me, let's see, 47 slides duplicating and moving a little bit each time to get this. So when you're ready for your video, what you're going to do is you're going to come down to File, and we're going to publish this to the web. I want to change from every 3 seconds to every second. I do want to start the slideshow as soon as the player loads. Whether you restart it is completely up to you. We'll go ahead and restart it. And then I'm going to publish. Yes, I want to publish it. I am then going to copy this link, Control C. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to paste this link in. But every second is still not fast enough to make this a movie. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this to 75. Anywhere from 75 to 100 is good. And then I'm going to hit enter. And hopefully, if everything works like it's supposed to, Please work. Here we go. Maybe a little bit. Yep. He's eating. He's eating. Get to the... Oh, the last one got away. Oh, no. He's sad. So, obviously, the sad part at the end didn't last long enough. So, what I could do is I could come back to... Whoops, wrong link. I could come back into my presentation and just duplicate those slides a few more times so that it spins longer there. Oh no, I have the color wheel of death. I'm trying to do too much. All right. I'm frozen. All right, I'm trying to close all this out. I have no idea what you are currently seeing. Oh man. I'm not sure if y'all can hear me or not. Oh boy. Okay, so y'all can hear me. That's great. But I'm not seeing anything on my computer screen. So, all right. I've got nothing happening. If you all can just hang with me and see if my computer decides to reconnect. If I stop the broadcast, I lose this link. And I would have to completely redo some stuff. All right, so am I back up and running on my computer? Please. I think maybe so. Okay, I'm up and running. My preview on my YouTube is frozen, so I'm just going to roll and hope that that you can see my screen. So next we're going to talk about how to edit pictures. So I'm going to bring again my favorite animal onto the board here. I'm going to do a little polar bear. And I'm just going to drag him onto the screen. All right, so what I can do I can do lots of things with images here. The first thing that I want to show you is how you can get rid of unwanted information on the sides. So I can double click on an image and it's going to give me these black lines around the edge. So I can actually drag in these black lines and this will crop my image to take out anything that I don't need. All right, and I can get rid of it. I can also, once I've cropped it, I can come up here to my mask image drop down menu, and I can, this is really fun, I can turn my picture into a shape. And so if I double click again, I can resize my picture and then use my arrow keys to make the polar bear larger inside that little window. So lots of cool things here. With it selected, I can also come up here to Format Options and possibly recolor it if I wanted to. I can change the size and rotation, the position. Something that's fun is you can add drop shadows, and it adds just a little bit of a shadow to your image. It makes it look a little bit more professional, a little bit cooler. You can also add a reflection if you want to, and you can play around with the reflection. You can also make your image, let's see if I can find it. You can make it transparent. Well, that's the reflection. There is a transparency option. I'll have to go back and find where that is. So that is working with images. So something fun that you can do with images and Google Slides is, because Slides works with layering, and you can put things on top of each other, is something that a lot of teachers are doing right now, is creating Bitmoji scenes. I am completely obsessed with Bitmoji. So again, I'm going to encourage you to use this Search the Web tool within Google Slides or within any of your Google tools, because it guarantees that you're coming up with, or you're getting search results that are copyright friendly. You have permission to use these images, versus opening up a new slide and going out onto the internet and just finding whatever. So I want to add a purple chair to my little room scene that I've got going here. I really like this one right here, but it doesn't, I don't want this extra background back here. So I need to actually save this image and use a tool called Remove BG to remove that background. Unfortunately, there's no way when I go to, if I right click on this chair and do Save As, what it's actually saving is the whole web page. It's not saving that image. So I would need to go out to a new tab, find the one that I want, save it to my computer, and then use Remove BG. But if I add PNG to the end of my search, it should bring up chairs that have a transparent background. So let's use this purple chair. I'm going to resize it to fit inside my little room here. I do want to flip this, so I'm going to rotate it horizontally so it's facing the other way. Maybe I want to add a whiteboard that I can add a message to, and this is going to be maybe the assignment for the day or something like that. And now it's time to bring in my Bitmoji. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my Bitmoji Chrome extension, and I'm going to search for, well, it's already right here, but if you search for sitting, you'll get your little Bitmoji, and I can just drag her onto the screen. And I'm going to do the same thing with her. I'm going to flip her horizontally, and I'm just going to plop her right here in this chair. Look at there! How fun is that? And so I've got this really cool scene that I can now come over here, File, where is it? Oh, up here. File, and download the PNG, and now I can put this in my Canvas. I can make this my Google Classroom class banner, all kinds of fun stuff. Creating Bitmoji scenes can be very, very addicting. It's so much fun. There's actually a Facebook group, and I'll link to it here. I think it's like Bitmoji Teacher Craze or something like that, and there are some very, very creative teachers in there. In fact, there are some teachers who have figured out that if you have Snapchat, you can actually use the Bitmoji filters in Snapchat to create moving Bitmojis. And then you can use a tool called unscreen.com to remove the background from that Bitmoji and then put that into your screen. So what I'm going to do, I've already gone through the process. I have linked to a video that shows how to do this. It is quite a few steps, but I've already taken the background out of my moving Bitmoji. So let's search here for clapping, because that was what my Bitmoji was doing. I'm going to do the GIF. We can argue GIF and GIF later. And look, I have a 3D Bitmoji. I can use my double click and use my cropping tool to get rid of all of this extra white space that I don't need. And now she can go anywhere that she wants to go. I also use a tool called Snagit. It is not a free tool, but it is so worth the one-time fee of $30. Don't pay for it. Get your principal to pay for it or your PTA to pay for it. But what Snagit allows me to do is it allows me to record what's on my screen and turn that into a GIF, which then means I can put it on a Google slide. I can put it in a Google Doc, which does not let me embed videos to get around that. So again, just to show you what that looks like, I'm going to insert one. It's in my documents. I'm going to try to insert one. Snagit. And it allows me to save them as GIFs. So here's an example of one. And again, I use these when I'm making Google Docs all the time to show the steps on how to solve something. So Snagit, super easy to use. You just drag over what you want to record. It records it, and then you download it as a GIF file. Super, super useful. I got through all the big things that I wanted to share with you, but there are several more slides of fun small things, small features to do with Google Slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably tomorrow record another video where I'll finish going through everything. I always plan way more than I can fit in, but it's just because I have so much to share, and I can't pick on what is my favorite. It's all my favorite. So be sure, and I'll go ahead and I'll give this to you now. Go ahead and grab the slides presentation. It's bit.ly/gslides. What? And also go ahead and get the link for the attendance form. You have a few minutes between the 2 o'clock and the 3 o'clock session, so go ahead and fill that out so that you don't forget to do it. And like I said, I'm going to continue to add to this presentation. I will also record another follow-up video, and I will put that on my YouTube channel, so make sure you follow the YouTube channel. I will post it to Twitter, and I will also post all the links right here within this document. So if you have the document, you're going to be good to go. I'm going to come in here while that's being shared and see if there are any questions in the back channel that I can answer really quickly before our time is up and before I need to get ready for the 3 o'clock session. If you are staying for the 3 o'clock session, the link is not changing. I'm just going to hang out in here, and we're just going to roll at 3 o'clock. So again, it looks like a lot of people in the back channel were asking me to repeat steps. This video is going to be on the YouTube channel. It will also be posted on the NC Learns website. So feel free to come back and rewatch as much as you need. I will get these links into the chat box. So the presentation link again is bit.ly/gslides.what, and the attendance form is bit.ly/2. It is case sensitive, so make sure you're using lowercase and capital letters when needed. Thank y'all so much for spending some time with me this afternoon. I'm going to leave this up for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch over slides to get ready for the Google Sheets session at 3. Thank you. Hello everyone and welcome to Google Sheets, or excuse me, I can do what with Google Sheets, and my cat is over here tearing up stuff. Lovely. She's behaved all day long. My name is Lauren Boucher and we're going to go ahead and get started. If you are back from the slides presentation, thank you for joining me again. If this is session number 3 with me today, thank you for spending your day with me. I've enjoyed it and I hope that you've learned lots. We're going to talk about Google Sheets today, but before we do, just a little bit of information. So this session is being live streamed through YouTube and OBS. My first one went off without a hitch. Second one, I think I was trying to do too much and had too many tabs open and I got frozen a little bit. If that does happen, please just hang out with me and we'll work through it. All of the session resources are going to be shared with you at the end of the presentation. I will also upload them to Sked. I will also put them on Twitter. And so I promise you will get everything that I'm going to show you today. If we run out of time, I will record additional videos and again post those into Sked, post those on my YouTube channel and in Twitter. I like to jam pack these sessions. I'm a nerd. I have so much stuff and I just love sharing it. So I'm not going to pause too much for questions just because I do have so much that I want to share. That's why we have a back channel dedicated to questions only. I've put that link in the chat. Meredith is going to put it in the chat, and I'm also going to bring it up again in just a second. But please just use the back channel for chat. If you'd like to take collaborative notes, there is a Padlet for that, and I've also linked that in the YouTube chat. And you'll find that link on the back channel question chat as well. At the end of the presentation, I'll also share the link for the feedback form. What you'll do is you'll fill that out. Please do that as soon as the session is over because these forms will close today. Once you fill out that form, a certificate of participation will be emailed to you. If you have any questions about filling that out, please email nclearnstogether@gmail.com. They'll be happy to help you any way that they can. I don't have anything to do with those certificates, so I'm not going to be much help to you. For CEUs, the session is worth 0.1, and we are recommending that districts award digital learning competency credit. However, not all districts actually accept webinar credits. I know Pitt County schools where I am, they do not. So you would just need to check with your LEA. So here are again those links to the back channel. Again, please just put questions in the back channel. I've crashed 2 Google Docs with NC Learns Together with too many people in one. So let's use the Google Doc for questions and then the Padlet for collaborative notes. All right, real quick before we get started, just to kind of loosen up and limber up, we're going to play a game called Me Too. If this is your 3rd session with me, you know how to play. Basically, I'm going to ask, or I'm going to give a statement, and if it applies to you too, join in the live chat and just type a quick me too and let's connect a little bit. So first one, I need some away time for my family. My husband is still able to work and he works about 45 minutes away from here. So I've been trying to work 8 hours a day while homeschooling my 9-year-old and it's been stressful. So I need a little bit of time away from the family for some me time. So if you're feeling me there, give me a me too in the chat. Number 2, my house is spotless because, you know, we've had so much time in the house to clean. I'm not claiming this. I can't say me too to that. My house is not spotless. I have not spent my time cleaning. I've been spending my time working and watching Netflix and crocheting. So if you can say that your house is spotless, go ahead and throw up that me too in all caps and shout it out proud. All right, and number 3, I have learned so much today. I hope that you have learned and that this time that you have spent has been beneficial and worth it to you. And thank you for those of you who've been hanging out with me earlier today. Google Sheets is up next, and it's just so much cool stuff. Google Sheets are magical. Really quickly, and I just realized that this slide I did not spend time on in my last session, sorry. But all of my sessions today, I have felt like really connect with the creative communicator piece of the new digital learning standards that have been passed by North Carolina for our students. These are the ISTE standards, but North Carolina has adopted them. And so all of the Google tools, I feel, really allow our students to make use of a variety of different platforms for multiple purposes, and allow them to bring in digital media that help them meet their goals as well. All right, let's jump into Google Sheets. And I had somebody in the last session saying they were having a hard time seeing my cursor, so I made my cursor a little bit bigger. Hopefully this helps. So I have here my to-do list of all the things that I want to share with you today. But like any self-respecting to-do list, I need a box where I can actually check it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some check boxes. So I'm going to click and drag to highlight all of the cells that are directly beside my to-do list here. And then I'm going to go to my insert menu, and looky here, I can add check boxes. Bam! And then when I'm done, I can actually check it off. Now, I don't know about you, but I am the type of person that I will make a to-do list and I will put things on that to-do list that I know I've already done just so I can check it off. So the check boxes I love that. My very first piece that I wanted to share is, instead of going into your Google Drive to create a new spreadsheet, you can actually just open up a new tab and type in sheets.new and it'll create the spreadsheet for you. That works with docs, so docs.new, slides.new, forms.new, and sites.new. The only one that it doesn't work with is the redhead stepchild of the Google Suite, which is Google Drawings. And Google Drawings shortcut is actually drawings.google.com/new. I don't know why they've left them out of that. It hurts my feelings for Google Drawings. So the next thing is you can actually automatically, I say automatically, not really automatically, but very easily resize your rows and columns. Now, rows will size themselves if you enter down in the column or if you use the text wrapping. So if I can actually highlight everything in my spreadsheet by clicking this very top left-hand corner box and then change it to text wrapping. If I want to leave everything in one line though, if I put my cursor on the line between two columns and double click, it will automatically resize the column to the left to fit the text that is in that column. So that's just a really quick, simple thing that you can do to make everything look like you want it to look. Right here, to show you what that text wrapping looks like, this information goes outside of that one cell, so I can actually wrap it so that it fits all in one. And then I can use my formatting across the top to change the fill color, the text color, the font, all that kind of stuff. Themes. I come from the elementary world, and I'm not saying that only elementary people like pretty things, but we do tend to be more cutesy than middle school and high school teachers. And so one thing that I can do to kind of format my entire spreadsheet very quickly is I can use themes. So if I come up here to format, my very first option is theme. I have all of these different color schemes that I can choose from. Now, if you've been in any of my other ones, you know that I'm partial to purple. So yeah, typically I go for this one right here. And when I click this, you'll notice that it changed my font and it changed the font color. I can click customize in here and I can change those fonts. Now notice that it's only giving me 6 fonts here. I don't have the whole kit and caboodle that I would have if I wasn't using the theme. And then I can come in and I can tweak the colors if there's any colors that I'm not partial to or that I want to tweak. And then when I'm done, I click done and my spreadsheet is prettier with one click of a button. You can also alternate colors. So if you have a pretty large spreadsheet where you have a lot of data, it's easier to see data if you alternate the colors of the rows. So you can actually do that again under the format menu and alternating colors. And based on what your theme is, or you can set it over here, let's just to change things up, we'll go to gray. And again, you can change your colors here if you like, and then done. And so any rows that you had highlighted will alternate colors. If you want the whole spreadsheet, you would just select everything using that top corner box and then format alternating colors, and it'll do that for you. It shows you text wrapping. Next is text direction. So you can actually change the direction that your text is being displayed in. That's under your format menu as well. So if I want this to go up and down, again, if we have a lot of categories of data, like grade books and things like that, sometimes in order for us to see more data, it's easier if we change our headings to being up and down rather than side to side. It just lets us see more text on the page at a time. So I can come in here to format and text rotation, and I can tell it a specific angle to rotate. I can tilt it up, down, stack it vertically, rotate. Let's just set this at 30 degrees, and you can see how it changes the text direction. Again, just another way to maybe make your spreadsheet look a little bit more attractive, or if you're trying to fit a lot of information on your screen to see it, you can stack it vertically. Something else to help you see more information is you can actually hide your menu to see a few more rows here, and use this this up and down arrow in the right hand corner to do that. Coloring cells, giving a colored background, is as simple as clicking and choosing the paint bucket to color the back cell, and you can do multiple at a time by just clicking and dragging over to select. Linking. Linking has changed in Google Sheets, and like within the last few weeks. Google is great for if I'm doing a tutorial to like start messing with whatever I'm doing my tutorial on as I'm doing it. They did it with YouTube for years, and now I'm trying to do some tutorials for Google Sites, and they're changing things as I'm making my videos. It's a little frustrating. But what I can do now is I can actually link to multiple things. So let's say that I want to link to Pitt County's website, and I want to link to ECU's website because we're here in the East and we say go Pirates. If you want to have multiple lines in a cell, you can actually do Control or Command Enter, and that will allow you to enter down in a cell. And so now I can highlight and do multiple links. Used to, you had to link everything that was in the cell. So I'm going to use the shortcut keys, Control K. Learn your shortcut keys. They are amazing. They save so much time. pitschools.org. And then I can highlight ECU, Control K, ecu.edu, and I can now have multiple links in one cell. Bam. I don't know that that excites you as much as I do, but as I was trying to create spreadsheets for presentation links and the video recording links, it was very aggravating because I couldn't have both of those links in. So people actually had to come into my spreadsheet, highlight and copy those one at a time, no more. I showed you how to select everything on the sheet. That's in the top right hand corner. It gets everything, saves a lot of time. Inserting images. So inserting images works a little bit differently in Sheets than it does anywhere else. We actually have to go up to the insert menu because there's not an insert image button here. So if we insert an image, it's going to ask us, do you want to put it in a cell or over the cells? So if you put it in a cell, it'll resize. Over the cells, it's just kind of like any other clip art image or any other image that you're using. So if I want to insert a picture in here into this cell, I'll do Insert Image. I want it in the cell. And then I get the same options that I do with the other Google Docs. I would encourage you, if it's an image that you don't already have saved to your computer, use the Google image search from the Google Doc that you're using versus opening up a second tab and doing a Google image search there. And the reason is any search results that you're going to get from this dialog box are going to be images that are copyright friendly. You have permission to use those images. If you were to just open up another tab, you might not necessarily have permission to use the images that you find there. So we're not going to change things up. We're still going to go with polar bears because I love polar bears. But I will use a different image. Let's use this one right here. So I'm going to click on the one that I want, insert it, and then when it inserts, again, it's going to kind of resize to fit that cell. If I were to do that and place it over the cells, this time we'll search for ECU Pirates because I like the Pirates too. Go Pirates, arg. We'll do the little logo here. What that will do is it puts it again as an image on your screen that we can then resize and we can move it around on the screen where we want it. So those are the two options that you have for adding images. And this is being a little wonky right now, so I'm going to delete that. All right, auto-filling data. This is super cool and such a time saver. So if I am making a list, a classroom teacher's list, I can actually use this little square here, and if I drag that down, that's going to duplicate what was in that original box. So that's a quick copy and paste down. If I start numbering down and then highlight my numerical string and bring it down, it will autofill numbers for me. It will do the same thing with months of the year. and I think it'll do the days of the week. Let's try. Yes, sweet. So it's magic. It's a time saver. It's something simple, but it makes me happy. So that's how you can autofill data using that little blue box on the side. Now, I mentioned using spreadsheets and looking at a lot of data. As teachers, we typically, when we're looking at data, we have our students' names down along the side, and we have our column headers across the top. Well, if I need to look at something in column M, I've lost my students' names, so I don't really know who is what. So what I can do is I can actually come up here to my View toolbar, and I can freeze rows and columns. I can't pick and choose which ones I'm going to do. It will only freeze from the left over or the top down. So if I want to freeze my column or my row headers, my column headers, I'm going to freeze the first row. And if I want to still be able to see my students' names, or let's say my to-do list, I'm going to view, and I want to freeze here my first two columns. So now you notice my scroll bar here doesn't start all the way over on the left. It starts where I'm allowed to scroll over. Everything else is frozen. So this is just a great way to be able to keep up with what data you're viewing. Rearranging data is super simple. If I want, let's say I want to switch these two rows, I can literally click and I get the little fist and it's going to drag it up and it's going to flip-flop that data. And I can do the same thing with columns. I'm not, because I've got some stuff here that I want to play with in just a second, but I can switch. Oh, let's switch these. By clicking and dragging, click and drag, I can move around my data however I want to. All right. I'm going kind of fast because these are pretty much one step tasks in Google Sheets, and I want to get to the application pieces and how you can use these with your students. Hiding. So you can hide rows, you can hide columns, and you can also hide whole sheets. So maybe this was a Google form, and I don't need to see all the timestamps that are listed over here on the left-hand side when responses come in. So what I can do is I can actually click and highlight my column, use my right click, and I'm going to hide this column. I know it's been hidden because I have this little arrow here. So if I were to hide column J, I know that I have something hidden because I have these two arrows. And to get that back, I should just be able to click. Maybe I unhide? No. I made my cursor bigger and now it's not. There we go. I'm having trouble getting right on the arrow. If you get right on the arrow, it'll unhide the rows and columns. So same thing, I can, I'm doing hiding right now, so I can hide the row. There's my arrows. And again, my very large cursor is making it next to impossible to get that back. But you would just click those if you can get it. I'm not going to play with it. All right, same thing for tabs. So if I want to hide a tab, you can have multiple tabs in a spreadsheet, so multiple sets of data. But if you use your drop-down menu, you can hide the sheet. Now, when you hide a sheet, there's nothing down here that tells you that it's hidden. You will get a little pop-up, but that will eventually go away. So to see any sheets that you have hidden, you're going to want to use your view menu because we want to view the hidden sheet. and we can come down here and we can see which sheets have been hidden. Click on it, and it will unhide. It'll come back into our line down here at the bottom of sheets that we can look at. Merging cells. Sometimes you want to make a special note, or you have more data that will fit in a cell. So what you can do is you can actually put cells together by doing what's called merging. So if I want all of these cells to end up being one singular cell, I'm going to use this tool up here at the top called Merge Cells. And now I can fit a lot more information into this cell than I can the one above it. So that's getting into some organizing and things like that. Again, I love a to-do list and checkboxes. I also love to color code. So I can actually color code my tabs along the bottom based on what function they are. So if I use my drop down arrow here, I can change the color. I'm going purple. Y'all knew I was going to purple first. And I can color code these. Maybe they're by class, or however subject, however you want to do. But it adds a little bit more organization and a little bit more visual appeal to a spreadsheet that, typically people just think are boring because they don't understand the magic of spreadsheets yet. If you have data that you do not want people to be able to change, so maybe this is a spreadsheet that you have created and you need other teachers or you need students to come in and input some data, what you can do is you can protect that data. So let's say that I don't want anybody to be able to change this set of numbers. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to use my data tab because this is data, and I want to, where to go? Protect it. I can protect ranges of data, and I can protect sheets, as whole sheets as well, and those sheets are these things down here at the bottom. So what I want to do, it's already got what I have highlighted, E2 through F6. I'm going to name this. I'm going to say, don't mess with my stuff. Obviously, if this is a legal spreadsheet or something that you're sharing with other people, you probably want to be a little bit more professional than that. But once you have named it, this is where you'll use the green button to set your permissions. So if you don't want to completely lock this down, okay, cursor is not visible and tabs are not visible at the bottom. That's very interesting. That's a part of the OBS software that I will need to figure out. I really wish I had known that before today. Again, this is the first time I've used this software. My apologies. What I will try to do is re-record with screencasting software, and I'll post that on my YouTube channel as well as Twitter so that you can see the cursor if you need to. The tabs down along the bottom, once you get the link to the presentation, you'll have all of that. So you really don't need to see those right now. Just know that to color code, you'll use the drop-down menu that's right beside the name of the tab. All right, so back to editing permissions. So you can set it so that people will get a warning message before they edit the data, or you can completely lock it down so that only you or specific people can edit the data. So that is protecting ranges. You can also come back in here, and if you mess something up, just trash it and move on. All right, where am I at now? Almost finished with the the nitpicky stuff to get out of the way before we go to some really cool activities. You can add notes and comments to your spreadsheet. So notes will show up as a little black triangle in the corner. And so don't forget to show how to enter down in a cell. I showed that. Notes are just to be viewed. If you want some communication back and forth with the collaborators in your document, you can add comments. Comments are done with either insert comment or use your shortcut keys, Control Option M or Command Option M. But you can, if I were to come in here and edit my comment, if I add the @ symbol, it's going to bring up people in my email list. And so if I want Meredith to see this comment, I can tag her in it and she'll get a notification. Oh, I need to turn on sharing settings. Remind me to do that, Meredith, before I get out of here and people try to get into the document. Well, I can go ahead and do that right there. All right, so Meredith can now come in here and reply, and we can have a conversation about whatever it was that I made the comment about to begin with. So that's notes and comments. Formulas. So I talked about Google Sheets being magical, and Google Sheets is magical because you can make it do stuff. And so you do that with formulas and functions. Formulas and functions always start with an equal sign. And so that tells the spreadsheet, oh, I'm getting ready to do some work. Some basic ones are sum. So if I just start typing in sum, it will come up here in my list and I can click here. It's going to ask me what I want the sum to look at, so I can highlight my data, one row, or I can do 2 different rows. And then I'm going to close my parentheses and hit enter, and automatically I get the sum. What's cool and what's magical is if I came over here and I changed a number, it's automatically going to recalculate. So again, formulas and functions always start with an equal sign. I can start looking for average. There it is. I'm going to highlight my data, close my parentheses, hit enter, and I can get all of these very basic calculations done. Now, obviously, it's going to do a lot more than these basics, but I'm going to be completely honest with you and tell you, other than the basics, there's only like 2 more that I know, and I'm going to share those with you today. If you want to bring data from one cell to another, so a very specific cell, you can hit the equal, or click equal, and then either click on that and it'll bring that data in, or you could hit the equal sign and tell it which cell by typing in F3 or whatever, and it'll bring that over. So formulas are a lot of fun. If you want a list of all the formulas, it's up here in the help menu. So if you click help, you have this very large, and if you ask me, some of it's written in Greek because I don't understand some of it. But you have your function list, and I did see somebody in the chat ask for keyboard shortcuts, and that's in your help menu as well. This keyboard shortcuts link is actually in the help menu of all of your Google Docs, so definitely take a look at that. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. All right, so get out of that. All right, formulas. Okay, so this is really fun too. Conditional formatting and data validation. So this is going to make you look so smart and so fancy, and it's so super simple. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some data validation. And data validation is basically creating a drop-down menu of choices in your cells. So I want a drop-down menu here for my student transportation list. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight the cells that I want to create my drop-down list in. It's data validation, so I'm going to go up to my data tab, and oh, here it is right here, data validation. So it's going to bring up my list here. I've already highlighted it, so my cell range is good. I want the criteria to be a list of items. So you can actually change your criteria to these different things, but I want it to be a list of items. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my list, and I'm going to separate each item by with a comma. So they're going to be a car rider, they're going to be a van rider, a bus rider, or a walker. All right, I want to show the drop-down list in that cell. You can reject input or show a warning if they try to type something in. That's up to you. And then click Save. And so now, look how cool this is. I can just go through, and Kamari is a car rider, David is a bus rider, Kaiten is a van rider, and I can just go down this list without having to type everything in. So data validation is lots and lots of fun. The next one is conditional formatting. Again, I mentioned I love color coding. Conditional formatting is color coding based on certain conditions. So let's say I have my grade book and I want to be able to quickly, with just a glance, see which students are making less than a B. So again, I'm going to highlight my range of data that I want to look at. I'm going to come over here to data, and what I'm going to do is, oh, where'd it go? Is it format? Oh, it's conditional formatting. Sorry, conditional formatting is under the formatting menu. So what I want to do is, if the cell contains exactly a C, I want it to turn red because I need that to pop out. Okay, I can add another rule that if the text is exactly a D, same thing, I'm going to leave it red. And I'm going to add another rule that is, if the text contains exactly an F, that it's going to turn red. So now I can look at my whole grade book in one fell swoop and see which students are making below a B. So that is conditional formatting. Again, it's going to make you look so super smart without a whole lot of effort. And then the last thing that I want to show you is that you can actually copy sheets from one file to another. So let's say that I wanted to take this whole spreadsheet and I want to copy it to a new one. So if, I know you can't see this, I wonder if, nope, can't drag it up that way, it loses it. Down at the bottom of your spreadsheet for your tabs, actually let me try this. Meredith, will you text me if you can now see the tabs? I think maybe that'll work. So I can click on my drop down arrow and I can copy to. Now I can copy it to a brand new spreadsheet and it will create that spreadsheet for me, or I can copy it into an existing spreadsheet. So if I choose existing spreadsheet, it's going to pull up my Google Drive. I just find the spreadsheet that I want to put it into, click it, and then select, and it will actually take this sheet and put it straight into, yay, there are the tabs, put it straight into another spreadsheet. Yes, okay, cool. All right, so now, what can you do with all of this fun stuff? What's the practical applications? All right, so one idea that I have is making index cards for a shared exit ticket. So I went ahead just for time's sake and I resized the rows and the columns to make it look like index cards. So what I want to do is I want to highlight everything in here, and I want to remove all of my borders because I don't want all that extra stuff in there confusing the students. So I'm going to remove all of the borders. My computer is slowing down, it's scaring me. All right, so index cards, here's Caton's index card. So what I want to do is I want to use the border that goes all the way around the edges. On an index card, the very first line is red. So for this border, I want the bottom line only, and I want to change the color to red. And so now I have red. For all of my other ones, I want to do the bottom border only, and now I'm going to change it to blue. Oh, why it didn't do all of them? Come on, be nice. Oh, okay, it's not going to be nice. So apparently you have to add them one by one. I'm not sure it's supposed to do that. I've been able to do this multiple times with more than one. So what you could do is once you get this like you want it, is you would just copy and paste and then just change the names. That way you're not having to go through and change all of those lines one by one. That would be a nightmare and totally not worth it. So create one index card and then copy and paste. And if you want to get rid of the gray grid lines, what you could do is come up to your view menu and uncheck the grid lines. And so now it's just a whole sheet of index cards. And so this could be shared notes, this could be an exit ticket where everything is on one page and each student gets their own index card. Another idea would be to again use the colors and the fill options for your rows and your columns to create graphic organizers. So here's a tree map. Again, I can turn off my grid lines so that it looks more like a digital graphic organizer. Maybe we're watching a video or the students are reading something. And so the students, this could be collaborative. Every student could have their own in a separate tab in this document. But again, I'm basically working with resizing my rows and my columns, coloring, using the paint bucket to color, and using my rows and cells to create this tree map. You can do the same thing for a timeline. There's all kinds of graphic organizers that you can create. So basically what I did here is these boxes are merged cells. That was very country. So I can actually come up here and unmerge, and you'll see if I were to show my grid lines, you can see all of these different ones. And so I've merged these cells together. I mentioned that I know two really cool formulas, and one of those is called an if-then formula. So basically I've created a little guessing game here. What I've done is I've hidden my age up here in cell A1, and I set my text to black. So that's a really cool way that you can hide text in a spreadsheet, is set your text to the same color as your background. And so the students, if they were to come in and make different guesses, well, if they guess 30, oh, that's too low. If you guess 40, oh, that's too high. But if you guess 36, and I need to update this because I just had a birthday a few months ago, then you get correct. So how did I do that? That's with an if-then formula. So if I were to click on my feedback boxes here, you can see the formula up here in the formula bar. And so basically an if-then statement says, if C8 is greater than A1. So this was the too high. So if this box that I have designated as my answer box is greater than what's hanging out up here in A1, then if it's true, it's gonna display too high. If it's false, it's not gonna display anything. What I could have done is I could have put let's see, no, there's a reason why I didn't do that. Too high, too low, just right. Those are 3 different answer feedbacks, which is why you need 3 different formulas. So that's an if-then. So again, let me really quickly, I'm going to merge these together. So it's the formula is equals if your what you're testing, comma, if it's true, this is what is going to be displayed. If it's false, this is what would be displayed. And if you don't want anything displayed, you would just leave the space. You would leave the space between those quotations empty. So there's your formula for if-then statements. This is just another example of using basic formulas. So this is something I did with my 3rd grade group. We worked together to figure out if you weighed this on Earth, what would you weigh on other planets? So the students could come in here and put in their weight. Again, I've set the text to the same color as the background, and you can see, oh, I didn't on that one. Need to set that to orange. You want to match up your oranges, obviously. Well, that's not right either. Anywho, you get the idea. But you can see as I put in the answers, it's automatically. This is just done with basic formulas. So I know that on Mars, what we weigh on Mars is only 0.38% of what we weigh on Earth. And so just using a basic multiplication formula to figure that out. Another way that you could use if-then formulas is with a homework checker. So what I've done is I have put the answers to last night's homework on this sheet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this sheet. So the students aren't going to know it's there. I may have this up on a shared computer station in the classroom or some iPads. And so what the students are going to do is they're going to come in and they're going to put in their answers from last night's homework. Okay, if they get it correct, it's going to say correct. If they get it wrong, it's going to say sorry. And then what I want them to do is come over here and put an X beside which ones they got wrong, so I know as the teacher these are the ones that I need to go over in class. So I actually copied this over from another spreadsheet, which is why my items are messed up here. But I wanted to show you how to do this formula. So I actually need to come back over here and unhide that sheet. So before you hide your sheet, you will use the sheet to put in your formula. So here I've got if C4, and I want to say if it is equal to I'm going to go to my homework answers sheet here, and if it is equal to that, then they're going to say correct. If not, please mark missed. I hit the enter key, and even though I'm on the answers spreadsheet, it's going to update on the other one. So same thing, I'm going to come here. I'm going to double click to highlight that part of the formula. Go to my homework answers. Click the cell that I want it to, oh, that didn't work. Come on. click the cell that I want that to test it against, hit enter, and bam, we're done. So once you have all your formulas in place, that is when you would come and hide the spreadsheet. Hide sheet. All right, another idea for using formulas, and this is just using the straight up equals formula. So it's like a play on Mad Libs. So I have parts of speech up here. Either the students or us as a whole group would come in and they would put in the parts of speech, and then when they scroll down they can read. This is a takeoff of Little Red Riding Hood, and so if you look, the formulas here match up with the words that the students filled in up top. And so that is just strictly using an equals formula where I'm inputting what was in the cells up top. Charting data is super easy with Google Sheets. So if I have this data that we collected as a grade level, what I can do is highlight it and insert a chart. It's going to read it, and it's going to, come on, my computer is very tired today. And so it's going to look at the data, figure out, hey, I think that they want a column chart. If you didn't want a column chart, you could come over here and change your chart type. You can also come down and edit what you want your x-axis and y-axis headers to be and that kind of stuff. You can change your colors, completely customizable, but it's a great way to turn numerical data into visual data super duper quickly. And as you change numbers here, it's going to automatically update on your chart as well, which is really neat. Random generator is the other formula that I know about and that I love using. So this activity would be great for story starters, for students who are struggling getting ideas. So basically what we're doing here is we're using an index of options. So we're going to use the index formula. So the way that it works is if I click here, if you notice my formula up here, we're doing the index, and my index is A2 through A7. And what I want it to do is I want it to pick one of those random options between number 1 and number 6. I have 6 options, so I want them to choose somewhere in here between the first one and the 6th one. And so how I scroll through those is I use either Control or Command R, and every time I do that I get a new story starter. How much fun is this? Very last thing, again, using lines and resizing your rows and columns is creating a student notebook out of Google Sheets. So we've got here a cover. We have where our students can put in their different assignments and when they're due. You can have a journal where the students keep up with kind of a KWL chart, and then class notes. So let me come back here. That's everything I had to share with you today. I actually got everything in. So here is the presentation link. It's bit.ly/gsheets. What? And here is the link to the attendance form. So make sure you go ahead and fill out that attendance form. I will put the link to this student notebook template. This is actually from, actually I did give it to you. It's from Tammy Tang. So the very last tab on this spreadsheet file is labeled More Resources. So if you look at that last tab, I've shared some more templates with you. There's a budget template. There's a lesson plan for a wonderful high school activity called Doctors as Detectives that uses spreadsheets. And then if you are not familiar with Alice Keeler, holy moly, you need to check out her add-ons for Google Sheets. She has got so many templates for teachers that use Google Sheets that your mind will be completely blown, and they're so useful and just make things so much quicker. So definitely check her out. I hope that you learned a lot. I know spreadsheets are not a lot of people's comfort zone, but I hope that through this you've seen that they're not as scary as they might seem and can really be used to bump up some lessons. Really quickly, I do want to come back. I know my time is almost up, but I do want to come back and show you this last tab in the presentation notes so that you'll see the different links that are available in here. Flippity.net is lots of templates for classroom activities that use Google Spreadsheets. There's tutorials and all kinds of stuff on that spreadsheet. But I did want to make a case for spreadsheets as well. They're a great way to have students demonstrate procedural knowledge in math. So if they can, come up with the formula, it uses order of operations, different things like that. It's great for research and organization, great for teaching our younger students some mathematical vocabulary, and it's a spreadsheet, so it's technology, so it's more fun. So again, thank you. Here, one more time, is the link to the presentation document as well as the attendance form. Yes, Eric Kurtz has amazing stuff on Control-Alt-Achieve as well. I will definitely add that to here as well. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Please be sure to connect with me on Twitter. I'll put my Twitter handle in the chat. And thank you so much.